Imperials versus Stormcloaks, Stormcloaks versus Imperials, Imperials versus Thalmor, Thalmor versus everybody. This conflict in Skyrim is met with various opinions, though in this video I will analyze the conflict with an unbiased opinion based on history and philosophy. Let's get started. There is a prelude to every conflict that is no different from the Skyrim Civil War. And this civil war is brought on by the Great War, fought between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion, a conflict that had been looming since the Oblivion Crisis. The conclusion being the Treaty of the White Gold Concordat. The treaty stating the Empire would recede parts of Hammerfell, the Blades would be disbanded, and above all, the worship of Talos would be banned. Moving on into the realm of Skyrim, as the Markarth incident also occurred. Seeing no Imperial Legion guarding their perceived homeland, the Forsworn march on the Reach and take Markarth itself. And the Empire, devastated by losses, remained idle. So a man named Ulfric Stormcloak, with his own soldiers, slaughtered every Reachman, even after surrender. And the Reach thanks him for it. This event starts to show Ulfric Stormcloak take center stage, while also showing the Empire in a weak state. Growing even more restless and vengeful, Ulfric shouts High King Torek to pieces. Legal, yet unfair and unnecessary. This perceived martyrdom divides Skyrim and further alienates them from the perspective of the Empire and their loyalists, in which the Empire did a counterstrike and captured Ulfric. Then, the Skyrim Civil War commences. But before we analyze how the war would really transpire, we must look at the two sides. On one hand, we have the Empire, weakened and still formidable, has many resources and soldiers. They are imitating the Roman Empire and their tactics would show that. On the other hand, the Stormcloaks are hardened rebels and true in spirit. They would be most represented as Norse or the Vikings. We also must analyze General Tullius, who says he's known for fixing delicate situations for the Empire. This would concur he specializes in negotiation, reconnaissance, and siege breaking. Back to Ulfric, he is a seasoned veteran, a natural company commander, and a valid tactician. After Ulfric escapes Helgen, Tullius makes a blockade, similar to the Anaconda Plan during the American Civil War. In the meantime, Ulfric Stormcloak would conclude, like the Confederacy, the Empire must be defeated as quickly as possible. Though unlike the Confederacy, Vikings are avid seafarers and can assemble longships fairly quickly. The Norse longships were quick and can move into short inlets easily. The Vikings used naval warfare to wear down enemy ships with archery before boarding. That is to even say the Empire themselves have a navy, while in real life the Roman Empire didn't have a standard navy and relied heavily upon the Greco-Egyptian occupied states. Though in this case, the Imperials would have to rely on the East Empire Trading Company, that was already struggling with pirates from Clan Shadowshield. Not only that, but on the Western land blockade, the Vikings did have a formation to break, which was the Wedge Formation, which can be deployed at multiple intervals at once. At that point, the blockade breaks, and Tullius would retreat and prepare for Whiterun. Tullius would let the Stormcloaks take small settlements and focus on turning Balgruuf and Whiterun. Jarl Balgruuf would still be on the Imperials, though the battle would go much differently. At this point, Ulfric is reinforcing his spy network and his prestige like getting the Jagged Crown, which also shows why the battle for Whiterun would be much different. As the Stormcloaks wouldn't lay siege, Ulfric wouldn't want to destroy the Nord customs like Companions or the Tree of Kinnereth. Therefore, like the beginning of the game, Ulfric will fall for a ruse and meet a small force of Imperials on the fields of Whiterun, not realizing there's another host lying in wait. Whiterun is important as its food supplies Skyrim, and an army marches on its stomach, plus it's the center of the map. Much of Skyrim is rugged tundra, and is not ideal for the Roman Empire, as you can tell by how many roads they built or even the Teutoburg Forest, the feat. However, Whiterun Hold is mostly flat, much more suitable for the Empire. The Roman Empire usually engaged in battle by sending light infantry as shock troops to start off with. Then they would retreat behind heavier infantry while cavalry guards them from flanks. At this moment, a large host of Stormcloaks would be annihilated, and this would be a demoralizing blow to the cause. But Ulfric Stormcloak, the irreplaceable person of this rebellion, is still alive and looking to fight, back in Windhelm. Ulfric must die to destroy the rebellion. When he's dead, it's over. The Stormcloaks would go into maintenance mode, starting to occupy abandoned forts and keep the Empire from moving in. Though while losing Whiterun, they get another supporter, Markarth. Remember the Markarth incident? In the midst of all this, they will come to the Stormcloak's aid and threaten Solitude while also supplying a lot of gold and silver. Tullius, being unable to lose Solitude, would travel west to deal with Markarth, most likely splitting his forces. But the Stormcloaks would divide their soldiers too, mostly through hit and runs around Eastmarch and the Rift. The Romans were experts at siege warfare. Although the Silverbloods would have the high ground, the Imperials would either find an underground route or starve the city out. Either way, some time would be bought, as Tullius wouldn't be able to commit all of his soldiers to the east of Skyrim. On the other hand, there would be an internal conflict among the Stormcloaks. After losing Whiterun, the Rift may lose faith, and by Rift, I mean Maven Blackbriar. The real force of Riften is Maven Blackbriar, not Jarl Leia Lawgiver. Maven siding with the winner either way, and would use her cunning to side with the Empire, making the Stormcloaks lose even more food from their unsteady supply chain. On top of that, Tullius would cut off Dawn Star and Winterhold from Windhelm, two places already struggling. But Windhelm itself is easily fortified and will be hard to break, especially if they have access to the sea. However, the choke point will be weak, especially with all the ruined forts and dungeons the Stormcloaks have made their home, and above all, not being used to the climate. Tullius is eventually forced to go back to Whiterun, while Ulfric deals with the Rift. Not long after, Markarth is disposed of. They are either brought to ruin or surrender. But the Stormcloaks still have a spy ring, and are able to leverage Falkreath to their side through their Jarl's uncle Thangir. However, only just, for the Hold fights one another until both sides of the spectrum cannot aid in the conflict. General Tullius can go back to sending his full host against Windhelm. Ulfric and the Stormcloaks realize they can't push west to Whiterun and can't withstand another assault. Ulfric must look for allies outside of Skyrim. Rift is subdued to the Stormcloaks, but lost Galmar Stonefist. Ulfric's right-hand man dies in an assassination by Maven Blackbriar. Ulfric is forced to turn to Hammerfell. Them resenting the Empire agree to cause trouble with the Imperials themselves. Ulfric convinces them by doing a raid on Bruma, showing that the Empire is weakened and vulnerable. The raid is small-scale and does minimal damage, but shows the Empire is touchable. High Rock can't be considered because they are still loyal to the Empire, while Morrowind doesn't have the resources and Ulfric's a bigot. The Stormcloaks gather strength and set out to Solitude by ship, as they can't go by land without fear of meeting Tullius at Whiterun or being choked at Dragonbridge. The company lands near Northwatch Keep, with Ulfric himself freeing the captives. The Stormcloaks then launch a surprise assault on Dragonbridge from behind, and take it with brute force, at the same time cutting off reinforcements from Whiterun and Morthal. This is solidified when they destroy the bridge itself. This is similar to the siege of Parrish by the Vikings. The surrounding countryside starts fighting. The Thalmor embassy is destroyed in spite submitting. The Legion's main office is destroyed, and the docks are burned, and the morale of the city is depleted. In spite knowing it will be a bloodbath, Ulfric starts the siege knowing he's on borrowed time, full of makeshift siege towers and catapults. Eventually the city falls. Legate Rikke says her final words before perishing. Jarl Elisif the Fair submits or commits suicide, and Jarl Ulfric Stormcloak becomes High King. Tullius' Whiterun Imperial garrison gives up, and the Empire, being financially strained, gave Skyrim independence. However, this isn't Ulfric's victory, as no one wins a civil war. Also, the Thalmor have been upholding the rebellion. The Thalmor are the ones supplying food and armor to the Stormcloaks and weakening the Empire. Skyrim itself is dismantled and unable to take the fight to the Thalmor. So when Hammerfell calls for aid, Skyrim is unable to answer, as the Imperials will likely turn to subdue Hammerfell next, all the while weakening Tamriel as a whole for the Aldmeri Dominion. Ulfric can be High King, but only temporarily. The war is rigged from the start, and the Empire will be back. This is based on historical analysis and thinking what the characters themselves would do. Well, what do you think of this Skyrim Civil War analysis? Let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe for some more content. Remember to live the game.